Hello, Fáilte. Welcome to another episode of the Táin Cuailgne with myself, Lora O'Brien. And I'm here going through the cattle raid of Cooley. Oh, and I'm not going to say we're almost finished because there's still actually quite a bit to go, but it has been a ride, hasn't it, through the whole thing. So if you are new to this, then please go back. The link is below to start this off correctly because you're going to be a bit lost if you are just jumping in. Okay, so there's a playlist above, there's a link below, and you will be able to get the whole playlist from the start. Okay, this week we have gone through the agitation of Celtcar and we are into the array of the host. So this is episode 25, the array of the host in the Táin Cuailgne. Now, this is a bit of a long one, so we're gonna go through it until you're pissed off or until I finish it. Okay. So that's there you have it, being honest. Here followeth the array of the host. Said Alil, truly I have succeeded, said he, in laying waste Ulster and the land of the Picts from Monday at summer's end till spring's beginning. So from Samhain until Imbolg is basically where we're at so far. We have taken their women and the sons and their children, their steeds and their troops of horses, their herds and their flocks and their droves. We have laid level their hills after them, so that they have become lowlands and are all one height. For this cause will I wait no longer here, but let them offer me battle on Mac Eye. So that's back at Crochon, the plains of Eye, if so it please them. But say here what we will, some one shall go forth from us to watch the great wide plain of Meath, to know if the men of Ulster come hither. And should the men of Ulster come hither, I will in no wise be the first to retreat till battle be given them, for it was never the wont of a good king to retreat. Who should fitly go thither? Asked all. Who but Macroth, our chief runner yonder? Macroth went his way to survey the great wide-spreading plain of Meath. Not long was Macroth there when he heard something, a rush and a crash and a clatter and a clash. Not slight the thing he judged it to be, but as though it was the firmament itself that fell on the man-like face of the world, so the sky falling onto the earth, or as though it was the furrowed, blue-bordered ocean that broke o'er the tufted brow of the earth, so the sea, obviously, breaking over the earth, or as though the ground had gone asunder in quakes, or as though the forest fell, each of the trees in the crotches and forks and branches of the other. But why give further accounts? The wood's wild beasts were hunted out on the plain, so that beneath them the grassy forelocks of the plain of Meath were not to be seen. Macroth hastened to tell this tale at the place where were Alil and Maeve and Fergus and the nobles of the men of Erin. Macroth related the whole matter to them. What was that there, O Fergus? Asked Alil. Not hard to say, said Fergus. It was the rush and tramp and clatter that he heard, said Fergus, the din and thunder and tumult and turmoil of the Ulstermen who have come into the woods, the throng of champions and battle heroes, cutting down with their swords the woods in the way of their chariots. This it was that had put the wild animals to flight on the plain, so that the grassy forelocks of the field of Meath were hidden beneath them. Another time Macroth surveyed the plain, and he saw something, a heavy grey mist that filled the space between the heavens and earth. It seemed to him that the hills were islands in lakes that he saw rising up out of the sloping valleys of mist. It seemed to him they were wide yawning caverns that he saw there leading into that mist. It seemed to him it was all white flaxy sheets of linen, or sifted snow a-falling that he saw there through a rift in the mist. It seemed to him that it was a flight of many varied, wonderful, numerous birds, or the constant sparkling of shining stars on a bright, clear night of hoarfrost, or sparks of red flaming fire. He heard something, a rush and a din and a hurtling sound, a noise and a thunder, a tumult and a turmoil. He hastened on to impart these tidings at the place, where were Alil and Maeve and Fergus and the nobles of the men of Erin. He reported the matter to them. But what was that, O Fergus? Asked Ailill. Not hard to say, Fergus made answer. This was the great grey mist that he saw which filled the space between the heavens and earth, namely the streaming breath both of horses and men, the smoke of the earth and the dust of the roads as it rose over them, with the driving of the wind, so that it made a heavy, deep grey, misty vapour thereof in the clouds and the air. These were the islands over lakes that he saw here, and the tops of hills and of heights over the sloping valleys of mist, over the heads of the champions and battle heroes, over the chariots and the chariots withal. These were the wide yawning caverns that he saw there leading into that mist, even the mouths and the nostrils of the horses and champions exhaling and inhaling, the sun and the wind with the speed of the host. These were the all-white, flax-like cloths that he saw there, or the streaming snow falling, to wit the foam and the froth and the bridles, that the bridles of the reins flung from the bits of strong, stout steeds with the stress, with the swiftness and strength and speed of the host. These were the flights of many various, wonderful, numerous birds that he saw there, even the dust on the ground and the top of the earth, and the sods which the horses flung from their feet and their hoofs, and arose over the heads of the host with the driving of the wind. This was the rush and the crash and the hurtling sound, the din and the thunder, the clatter and clash that he heard there. To wit, the shield shock of shields and the jangle of javelins and the hard smiting of swords and the ring of helmets, the clangour of breastplates and the rattle of arms and the fury of feats, the straining of ropes and the whir of wheels and the trampling of horses' hoofs and the creaking of chariots and the deep voices of heroes and battle warriors coming hither towards us. This was the constant sparkling of shining stars on a bright clear night that he saw there, and the sparks of red flaming fire, even the bloodthirsty terrible eyes of the champions and the battle warriors from under beautiful, well-shaped, finely adorned battle helmets, eyes full of the fury and rage they brought with them, against the which neither before nor since has equal combat nor overwhelming force of battle prevailed, and against which it will never prevail till the very day of doom and of life. We make not much of that, quoth Maeve, for there are goodly warriors and goodly fighting men with us to cope with them. Thou shalt have need of them, answered Fergus. Truly, I count not on that, O Maeve, for I give my word, thou shalt find no host in all Erin, nor in Alba, Scotland, to cope with the men of Ulster when once their anger comes on them. A lot of bigging up of Ulster happening here. And again, Fergus showing his true colours. Okay. Then did the 4 grand provinces of Erin pitch camp and make lodgment at Clartha for that night. They sent forth folk to keep watch and guard against Ulster, to the end that the Ulstermen might not come upon them without warning, without notice. Then it was that Concour and Kelcar and 300 bristling chariot fighters set forth, till they haunted at Slaughn Meaja, slain of Mead, in the rear of the host. But though halted, we have said, a very brief halt made they there, but proceeded for a favourable sign to the quarters of Ailill and Maeve, so that they might be the first of all to redden their hands. It was not long Macroth had been there when he saw something. An incomparable immense troop of horsemen in slain of Meath, coming straight from the northeast. They hastened forward to where Ailill and Maeve and Fergus and the chiefs of the men of Erin. Ailill asked tidings of him on his arrival. Say, Macroth, queried Ailill, sawest thou aught of the men of Ulster on the trail of the host this day? Truly I know not, answered Macroth, but I saw an incomparable immense troop of horsemen in slain of Meath, coming straight from the northeast. But how many numbered the horse troop? asked Ailill. Not fewer, meseemed, than 300 fully armed chariot fighters were they. Even 10 and 20 fully armed chariot fighters, Macroth made answer. So, O Fergus, quoth Ailill, How thinkest thou to terrify us till now with the smoke and dust and the breath of a mighty host, while all the battle force thou hast is that we see yonder? A little too soon belittles thou them, Fergus retorted, for mayhap the bands are more numerous than is said they are. Let us take good swift counsel on the matter, said Maeve, for yon huge, most fierce, most furious man will attack us, we ween, Concor, to wit, son of Fachna Fahak, the giant, son of Rosrua, the red, son of Rudriga, himself High King of Ulster and son of the High King of Erin. Let there be a hollow array of the men of Erin before Concor and a force of 30 ready to close in from behind, and the men shall be taken and in no wise wounded, for no more than is a catchive slot is this whereto they are to come. Not sure what a catchive is? Make sure you comment below if you know. Wherefore this is the third most derisive word that was spoken on the cattle lifting of Cuailgne, even to take Concor prisoner without wounding, and to inflict a catchive slot on the 10 and 20 who accompanied the kings of Ulster. And Cormac Conlongus, son of Concor, heard that, and he knew that unless he took vengeance at once upon Maeve for her great boast, he would not avenge it till the very day of doom and of life. It was then that Cormac Conlongus, son of Concor, arose with his troop of 30 to inflict the revenge of battle and prowess upon Ailill and Maeve. Ailill rose with his 30 to meet him. Maeve arose with her 30. The Manya arose with their 30. That's the 7 mains. The sons of Maga arose with their 30. The Leinster men and the Munster men and the people of Chaver arose and made interposition between them, so that on both sides each warrior sat down near to the other and near by his arms. Meanwhile, a hollow array of men was made by Maeve to face Concor, and a warlike band of 30 ready to close in from behind. Concor proceeded to attack the circle of men, and he was far from seeing any particular breach, but he worked a small gap, broad enough for men at arms, right in front over against him in the circle of combatants, and effected a breach of 100 on his right side and a breach of 100 on his left side, and he turned in on them and mingled among them on their ground. And there fell of them 800 fully brave warriors at his hands. So he killed 800 brave warriors at his own hands. Okay. And therefore he left them without blood or bleeding from himself, and took his station in Slane of Meath at the head of the men of Ulster. So just a brief little foray into battle for Concor, where he kills 100 without any blood or bleeding. 800. No. Yeah, 800 fully brave warriors at his hands. Anyway, okay. Come ye men of Erin, cried Ailill. Let someone go hence to scan the wide-stretching plain of Meath, to know in what guise the men of Ulster come to the height of Inslane of Meath, to bring us an account of their arms and the gear and their trappings, their kings and their royal readers, their champions and battle warriors and gap breakers of hundreds, and their yeomen, to which to listen will shorten the time for us. Who should go hither? Asked all. Who but Macroth, chief runner? Ailill made answer, really getting a full bang for the buck out of Macroth here. Macroth went his way till he took his station in Slane of Meath, awaiting the men of Ulster. The Ulstermen were busied in marching to that hill from gloaming of early morn till sunset hour in the evening. In such manner the earth was never left naked under them during all the time, every division of them under its king, and every band under its leader, and every king and every leader and every lord with the number of his force and his muster, his gathering and his levy apart. Howbeit, by sunset hour in the evening, all the men of Ulster had taken position on that height in Slane of Meath. Macroth came forward with the account of their first company to the place where Aliel and Maeve and Fergus were, and the nobles of the men of Erin. Aliel and Maeve asked tidings of him when he arrived. Come, Macroth, quoth Aliel, tell us in what manner and of array do the Ulstermen advance to the hill of slain in Meath. Where are we now in the reading? Okay, we're definitely not getting through the full thing here. Whoops, I've lost my place. There. Truly I know not, answered Macroth, except this alone. There came a fiery, powerful, most well-favoured company upon the hill of slain in Meath, said Macroth. It seemed on scanning and spying that a thrice 30 warriors were in it. Anon they all doffed their garments and threw up a turfy mound for their leader to sit on. A youth, slender, long, exceeding great of stature, fair to behold, proud of mien, in the van of the troop. Fairest of the princes of the world was he in the midst of his warriors, as well in fearsomeness and in awe, in courage and command. Fair yellow hair, curled, delicately arranged, in ridges and bushy had he. Excuse me. A comely, clear, rosy countenance he had, a deep blue-grey, angry eye, devouring and fear-inspiring in his head. A two-forked beard, yellow, fairly curled on his chin, a purple mantle with fringes and five-folded wrapped around him, a brooch of gold in the mantle over his breast, a shining white hooded shirt under red interweaving of red gold he wore next to his white skin, a bright white shield with figures of beasts of red gold thereon, a gold-hilted, hammered sword in one of his hands, a broad and grey-green lance in the other. That warrior took his station at the top of the mound so that each one came up to him and his company took their places around him. There came also another company to the same height in Slain of Meath, continued Macroth. Second of the divisions, of the two divisions of 30 it was. A well-favoured warrior was there, likewise at the head of that company. Fair yellow hair he wore, a bright curly beard about his chin, a green mantle wrapped around him, a bright silver pin in the mantle of his breast, a brown-red soldier's tunic under red interweaving of gold, trussed up against his fair skin down to his knees, a candle of a king's house in his hand, with windings of silver and bands of gold. Wonderful the feats and games performed with the spear in the hand of the youth. The windings of silver ran round it by the side of the bands of gold, now from the butt to the socket, while at other times it was the bands of gold that circled by the side of the windings of silver from socket to spear end. A smiting shield with plaited edge he bore, a sword with hilt pieces of ivory, and ornamented with thread of gold on his left side. This warrior took his station on the left of the leader of the first company who had come to the mound, and his followers got them seated around him. But though we have said they sat, they did not verily seat themselves at once, but they sat thus, with their knees on the ground and the rims of their shields against their chins. So long it seemed to them till they should be let at us. But one thing yet, meseemed that the great fierce youth who led the troop stammered grievously in his speech. Still another battalion there came to the same mound in Slain of Meath, continued Macroth, second to its fellow in number and followers and apparel. A handsome, broad-headed warrior at the head of that troop, dark yellow hair and tresses he wore, an eager, dark blue eye rolling restlessly in his head, a bright curled beard, forked and tapering at his chin, a dark grey cloak with fringes folded around him, a leaf-shaped brooch of silvered bronze in the mantle over his breast, a white hooded shirt reaching to his knees was girded next to his skin, a bright shield with raised devices of beasts thereon he bore, a sword with white silver hilt in the battle scabbard at his waist. The pillar of a king's palace he bore around him. No, he bore on his back. This warrior took his station on the hill of turf facing the warrior who first came to the hill, and his company took their places around him. But sweet as the tone of lutes in master's hands when long sustained, so seemed to me the melodious sound of the voice and the speech of the youth conversing with the warrior who first came to the hill and offering him every counsel. Okay. So we will find out who these are and then maybe leave it there. So, but who might that be? Asked O'Leil of Fergus. Truly we know him well, Fergus made answer. This, to wit, is the first hero for whom they threw up the mound of turf on the height of the hill, and whom all approached, namely Concor, son of Fachnafahach, son of Rosrua, son of Rudriga, High King of Ulster, and son of the High King of Erin. This, to wit, is the stammering great warrior who took station on his father Concor's left, namely Cuscrid Men, the stammerer of Macha, Concor's son, with the sons of the King of Ulster and the sons of the princes of the men of Erin close by him. This is the spear he saw in his hand, even the torch of Cuscrid, with its windings of silver and bands of gold. It is the want of that spear that neither before nor after, but only on the eve of a triumph, do the silver windings run rounded by the side of the bands of gold. Belike it is also almost before a triumph they course round it now. The well-favoured, broad-headed warrior who seated himself on the hill in the presence of the youth who first came on the mound, namely is Seneca, son of Halil, son of Maelcho the eloquent of Ulster. He that is wont to appease the hosts of the men of Erin. But yet a word more I say, it is not the counsel of cowardice nor of fear that he gives his lord this day, on the day of strife, but counsel to act with valour and courage and wisdom and cunning. But again, one word further I say, added Fergus, it is a goodly people for performing great deeds that has risen there early this day around Concor. We make not much of them, quoth Maeve. We have goodly warriors and stout youths to deal with them. I count not that for much, answered Fergus again, but I say this word, thou wilt not find in Erin nor in Alba a host to be a match for the men of Ulster when once their anger comes upon them. Okay, so we're going to finish there for today. Try and get it all finished next week, maybe. Don't think we quite did half, but anyway. Maybe we'll split it into 3. It does take quite a while. Okay, so once again, this is the reading of the Táin Cuailgne, the Cattle Raid of Cooley, by myself, Lora O'Brien. And you can find more like this over at the irishpaganschool.com or on my blog at loraobrien.ie. And there's loads of good stuff, of course, on this YouTube channel. This is the English translation of Joseph Dunn from 1914, hence the flowery language. And that's what we're doing. So make sure you check out the rest of the playlist. There's loads of playlists on this channel, so you're going to find something of interest to you for sure. Okay. So slán go fóill, and I will see you in the next video.